What's up, MJ?
Hello.
What is your faith?
I'm spiritual. I do not believe in religion because it's a huge cult of segregation, and spiritualism just unites everybody. There are
Okay.
Muslims, there are Jews, there are Christians, there are the other ones, Catholics, there are pagans. Spiritualism is not any of that.
Mm.
So I don't believe in a religion. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in God. I believe in Gaia, the spirit,
What's Gaia? What's that?
Mother Earth.
Oh, okay. Where do you think Mother Earth came from?
The Big Bang.
Where do you think that came from?
I have no idea. Science has not discovered that yet.
What if science discovers that that Big Bang comes from an uncaused being?
If science discovers that, great! It'll answer so many questions. But it hasn't gotten there in the several hundred years of severe scientific research and leaps and bounds of, what do you call it, discovery.
Hmm. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. As far as like how you live your life, like how based on what you believe, how do you make decisions like on like moral decisions or things
Because
like
I
that?
have a moral compass.
Okay,
If
where does
it's
that
right,
come from?
do it. If it's wrong, don't do it.
Hmm.
And it is a product of the environment, but
What defines
there's
what defines right or wrong in that worldview?
well, that's what I was saying.
Okay, go ahead.
Every oh my god, I just woke up so my brain is not at full power.
No
Like
worries.
every every environment such as America to England to Israel to everywhere, they
Hmm.
have their own version of what's right and wrong.
Okay,
In
so
America,
there's
I'm
no
gonna
objective right or wrong then, right? It's subjective.
yes. Unfortunately, that is true. Um In America, let's just stick there. In America, it's wrong to hit somebody. It's wrong to steal. It's wrong to kill. It's wrong to have content that is illegal. It's wrong to do this and that. And to help somebody, it's good. To give a discount to somebody at checkout just because they're struggling is good.
Hmm.
Morals are flexible depending on where you're from. So my moral compass is a product of the environment I grew up in.
Okay, okay,
So that's where my compass is.
okay. All right, cool. So you're okay with not having any objective morality?
I do what I believe is in the best interest of myself and those around me.
Got it. Do you agree? Are you okay with me believing in what I believe in and trying to tell others
Yes,
about
that's
it?
fine. I don't hate Christians. I just don't believe. If you don't shove your religion down my throat, I'm fine with you. Don't
Mm.
bother me, and I won't make it an issue. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with you believing in whatever you want.
I don't agree with Christians shoving their religion down your throat, right? But if a Christian feels like that's the right thing to do, what kind of position would you be able to take to say that's wrong?
I would simply say I'm not interested. I don't believe in Christianity.
What if they believe it's okay to force you?
I have seen that a lot. I tell them hail Satan and just let them know I
And
don't.
by the way, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, right? But you're right. There are some Christians that feel that way, right? So
Yes, I understand that.
but what kind of like according to your worldview, if that's how what they feel is right, then that's right,
It's right to them. It is not right to me. Like you
right?
said, it is subjective. I do not wish to join
So
the
who's right or
Christian
wrong in
opinion.
that situation? Because according to your worldview, you feel like it's wrong, so therefore it's wrong. But they feel like it's right, therefore it's right. Who? How do you determine who's right or wrong in that particular situation?
That's the gray area. And to
Hmm.
flatten it out, I would have to say that we each have to respect our own moral compass and do not push it on others.
So basically, it would rule against the Christian. Then the Christian would then get ruled out.
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, because that
They
ruling would
believe that
then.
they're right. They do what they want. I believe I'm right. I will do what I want.
No, no,
They want
no.
to push their
No,
religion down my
I get.
throat.
No,
I
no, no.
tell them
I get
I'm
that.
not interested.
No, no, no. I get that. But hear me out, okay? I get that, and I don't. And like I said, I don't. I'm not condoning Christians pushing stuff down your throat. I'm not a believer
I
in
know,
that.
I
Okay,
know,
I'm just using it as an example. Okay,
I
so
know.
if a Christian wants to push it down your throat, right, because they feel like it's right, the right thing to do, You don't like that and you think it's wrong. Therefore, it's wrong according to your worldview. Okay, so now we have a stalemate. One person thinks it's right, one person thinks it's wrong. Then I asked you, how do you determine how to rule against that situation? Which one is actually right? Because both of them are actually right, both
And there
sides.
comes in the moral dilemma.
And then comes a moral dilemma. Then you said, well, what would happen is he would have to just go along. He believes in what he believes. I believe. So essentially, it would mean that the Christian would have to stop forcing it down your throat. So
Yes.
therefore, that would mean that there is some level of objectivity there. Would you agree?
Well, of course. We just established that earlier.
So there is objective morality.
Yes.
Okay,
But what I believe
where
in
does
does
objective
not
moral?
harm others.
Okay, so good. That's where I was going. Okay, so there is some level of objective morality. Okay, so if there is objective morality, where does that come from?
Product of your environment.
No, not really, because we just said two different people who have different worldviews, different environments, a Christian and a non-Christian, who butted heads. According to your paradigm, both of them are right, but there was a ruling to decide what's right. So where did that come from?
Sorry, I got confused. I am lost. My brain decided to stop thinking.
It's okay. You want me to re-explain it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
am trying to have this conversation civilly. It's just that my brain decided to like, I
Do you
quit.
want to just come back another time? It's okay.
No, I'm good. I want this. I want this done. I mean, I believe that Christians have the right to practice their religion. I
Hmm.
just don't believe that they should have the right to force it down other people's throat.
Yeah, and that's fair, and I think that's a fair assessment
I
from you.
know several Bible thumpers, and I'd never talk to them because they go to church every single Sunday. That's fine, but every
So
time I try to talk to them, they quote the Bible. It's not written
yeah,
by God.
by the
It's
way,
written by a
bro.
guy with a
By
in
the
a
way,
robe
those
with a
Christians that
quill.
are doing that to you, they're definitely taking the wrong approach. That should not be
Yes.
happening. That's not what we believe. We're supposed to be loving you no matter what you believe, right? And obviously we should be preaching the truth to you, but in a manner that's going to be a way that you can accept it, and
Hold on a
you don't
second.
feel belittled.
1 second. Kenneth, when I say force, I mean like you're gonna go to hell if you sin. You have to follow the Bible. The Bible is the true way. Forcing you is pushing their agenda on you, making it to where you're the bad guy if you don't follow their religion.
Okay, so now here's what I was implying before when you said
Yeah,
you got a little confused. Okay, so you have a Christian, right? Now,
yeah.
this is on a smaller scale because you said on a bigger scale, different environments will require different moral compasses. Okay, fair enough, right? I'm taking it down to a smaller scale. Okay,
Yeah,
so you have a Christian and a non-Christian, right?
yeah.
You have a Christian who is in a completely different environment when they're searching their spirituality than somebody like you who's just spiritual, right? Two different environments. Now, the Christian, for some reason, let's just say it's a dumb Christian who misunderstood how to actually preach the truth, right? And then
Yeah.
comes and starts insulting you for not being a non-believer, okay? And let's say in their mind they believe that that's the right thing to do, but you obviously don't feel like that's the right thing to do. Therefore, it's wrong. According to your worldview, they're neither one of them are right or wrong, because if he feels that's the right thing to do, then it's the right thing to do. If you feel like it's the wrong thing to do, then it's the wrong thing to do. The question is, how do we determine in this situation, which one is actually correct? Now, you agreed in order to determine that it would require some sort of objective morality, something objective that is
Something
universal.
that would be universally accepted, which I
Correct.
believe would be something as simple as, does it harm the other person? Does it invade their personal space? Does it, like, putting belief aside, does it conflict with anything they like feel? Does it
Beautiful.
harm them in a
And I think we would
personal
all,
way?
I think most people, religious or non-religious, would agree with that. Now the question lies is because we're not just animals, right? We're different from animals, okay? Animals don't have that objective morality. The objective morality you just pointed to is very common with humans, right? But animals don't have that. Animals will unalive another animal if they need to, and or
Yeah, it's
even if they just
survival.
are survival. Okay, now they don't
That
have
actually
they
that
don't
could be
have
a
they don't
that's
have the thought
objective, but
process.
in a very small scope. Like a mother bear would either kill to eat, kill to
Hmm.
protect their cubs, or kill to protect their territory. But
Yeah.
continue, go on.
Yeah, but there are other animals that just unalive, and don't use that word by the way because of TikTok, but
Oh yeah.
they would unalive, like for example, um, uh, I think it's like the lion, who like the the female lion gives birth, and then the male lion like unalives the other cub, or the little baby. I'm sorry, out of just, I don't know, pure needs to be the alpha or something, or feels threatened or something like that, right? So
I've
you
never heard of
have
that.
animals have don't have this way of logically reasoning or having some sort of empathy, right? They just go ahead and go. So we're different from animals in that sense, right? We
Yeah,
have a way to
they believe
rationalize
in
it.
the
Okay.
strongest. What is
The
it? Fittest
survival of the
for
fittest.
survival.
Survival of the
Yeah, there
fittest.
we
Yep.
go.
So now the question is this: this universal morality. Where does that come from? How did that get established throughout humanity? And humanity, not all of humanity have communicated this. This is something that's been established
It's a
for
recent
humans.
development, actually.
Really? Okay. How so?
Well, think about it. From troglodytes, also known as cavemen, they have evolved over centuries of evolution. I believe in evolution. I don't believe in being you're alive. You exist. So evolution from troglodytes, a cross between Homo sapien, which is a human, a man, and a monkey. They have evolved over several million years, and they have we know that a large stone is called a rock. They have their own language for it, sound. So they evolved and they learned, they created their own language.
Hmm.
And that's where languages come from. But aside from language, we have evolved to go from sounds, um, pictures to language. And we have set our own rules and objectives and missions over time. It's a very long evolutionary process that goes from just grunts, moans, and sounds to full on sentences and conversations that took a millennia to develop.
Okay.
And morals come from that because we have something called philosophy and what there's another word for it, philosophy and um I'm gonna stick with philosophy.
Agree with you that this is that humans have evolved as far as their way of thinking because of logic, right?
Yeah, there we go, logic.
They've expanded on logic. Now,
If you
where
hit your
does
hand with a rock, it hurts, so don't do that. it's
mhm.
it's just, learn and do and evolve, grow.
Okay? So where does logic come from?
Thinking.
Right. So is would you say that logic is something that is created, or I mean, I'm sorry, not created, something that is material?
Logic is kind of difficult to explain. It's both material and it's thinking. It's difficult to explain. Why is my brain so slow today? I'm a
So
computer technician. My brain's usually faster than this. Um, this is just a whole new subject for me. It's like a whole
so
new
typically, I
field.
think I know what you're gonna. Let me just say if this is what you were gonna say. Would you say it's material because it exists in the brain, in the mind, but immaterial because it's an idea, and an idea is immaterial?
Yeah, ideas, thinking, the way we evolve, the way we change our minds, how we learn what's good and what's bad. It's learning.
Okay. So before humans, right? Because you would agree that humans are the ones that have the brain to be able to comprehend logic, right?
Homo sapien, yes.
Yes. Okay. Before humans, did the Earth exist?
It was before humans, the Earth did exist, but it was small invertebrates and vertebrates, such as, let's say, before dinosaurs. It would be birds and lizards and creatures that we've never seen before. We don't have a written record from before dinosaurs existed, so we can only speculate at this point what existed before then.
Okay.
There
Fair
was
enough.
life, just nothing close to what we have now.
Fair enough.
They
Okay. So
they
going back.
survived through survival of the fittest.
Okay. No problem. Fair enough. Now, going back to the logic, right? Logic exists in the mind, which is what in the mind obviously is like the brain,
Yeah, they
right?
did have a small sense of it, but only enough for survival. Like, I'm a small lizard on a rock sunbathing, and I see a giant monster coming towards me that eats anything. It's an omnivore. So it's like, my logic is if I try to attack it or befriend it, it will kill me because it is much larger than me, so I'm going to get away.
Okay. So, and you would agree that logic is the basis as to why we have, where we're able to have some sort of objective morality, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Now,
fair.
now the question I have for you is, um, does logic exist without a mind?
It can.
How?
Because we've actually studied jellyfish, they do not have brains. We have established that scientifically many, many times, and yet they still follow the same mating pattern that's complex over several decades.
So you're saying that jellyfish have the ability to reason and rationalize?
Not as far as I know what you're talking about. Like this is a good
Because for
idea, this is
example,
a bad idea.
because for example, like a jellyfish exists, right? And you're saying the mating pattern, right? So it just knows when to mate. So you're saying that there's logic there.
Instinct.
Okay, instinct, would instinct classify as logic?
I would have to say so. Yes.
What thought process do you need to do in order for you to breathe?
Breathe or breed.
Breathe, like
Oh,
inhale air with your lungs. Yeah,
it's an autonomic system.
exactly.
Automatic.
It's an instinct, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't require logic, does it?
Not really, but if you're drowning, you will
Actually,
instinctively stop breathing.
correct. Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that instinct doesn't require logic because if it did, we wouldn't be able to operate because we would have to think everything out.
No, not necessarily. I mean, logic says that if I breathe in water, I will drown.
Correct. That's reasoning, but that's different from instinct, right? That's different from something that just happens subconsciously.
Okay, so you're trying to separate the two. Instinct is what
Well,
your body
conscious, being
normally
conscious
does.
and subconscious are different. They are distinct, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So they have to be separate. So if a jellyfish has an instinct to breed, right? Does that mean it has some level of logic?
In some cases, it
Like
can
what?
choose to attack and choose not to attack.
Why wouldn't that just be instinct?
That could be reasoning.
How would you know?
I mean, some people have gone to the beach and held a blue octopus, a jellyfish, and they haven't gotten stung, and others just poke at it and they get stung. So
Okay.
they have been proven to make a choice.
How do you know that the ones that were just poking at it are the ones that triggered the instinct and not the other way around?
I mean, the ones that are holding it are putting it on their back, their head, playing with it with their fingers, and they were not getting stung. And this was a poisonous one. And
Okay.
the one
Now,
poking it,
yeah.
it might have just triggered something that's like, I'm being poked, I don't like that. Here, zap.
Okay. So actually, that's actually proving my point because the ones that were holding it and doing all that stuff, that jellyfish, if you're to use logic or if it was to use logic and was thinking this out, it would be very obvious that they're more in danger and to attack. But the one that just got poked, got attacked, maybe like right there, there's no logical reasoning there. It's just that right there proves my point that it's reacting out of instinct. So it has to be a
Okay.
certain thing in order for it to know or in order for it to react, I guess, whether it's going to attack or not. It's not using any rational thought.
Okay. So where are you
So,
going
so
with that?
going, well, I mean, you brought up the jellyfish. So going back to it, right? Can logic exist without a mind?
It can.
Okay, how?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there is a way.
Okay,
But there are fundamentals of science that cannot be ignored. Like what's it called? The laws of physics. If you break the laws of physics, you break reality. Like a perpetual motion machine
right.
cannot exist. It will not exist. But there are instances of having logic or
Hmm.
instinct without a brain.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
has
no,
happened.
I think I don't. I'm agreeing with the instinct part, but we're discussing logic as far as having some level of rationality or reasoning because we're discussing objective morality. But look, here, you were very honest, and I respect you a lot for that. This is an argument that like Socrates brings, and he
I
was a
respect
philosopher.
philosophers.
He's a philosopher, but he believed in God, and this is the reason why he did. So the argument is this: that logic cannot exist without a mind, and
Okay.
nothing is we can't nothing is we can't perceive anything in reality or perceive anything as true without logic, right? And everything exists and is held together through some sort of reasoning or logic, right?
Yeah.
So basically, what it boils down to is the only way we can actually observe logic and we can see it existing is through a mind. If everything at some point what did not have a mind or had no signs of life, but then all of a sudden had life, right, or had a mind, right? The
Maybe I
question,
misunderstood, but logic, yes. I believe that logic cannot exist without the mind, but instinct is with every living creature.
okay, but what I'm saying is, the argument is this, and you can go because I have some other people requesting up, and you've been
Yeah.
cool, but just go ahead and I'll be happy to talk to you again. But the argument is that logic does not exist without a mind. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, then at some point there had to have been, if you do a regress all the way back to the very beginning or when there was no life here in this earth, at some point there had to be a mind in order for anything to exist. And the question is, what is that mind? And obviously, for someone like me who believes in God, is that's God. God is the mind that even brought all this together. You see what I mean? So that's the argument.
You're
For the
saying
Lord,
about the great plan.
the great plan. I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Like God has a plan, he plans everything out.
No, no. I'm just talking about just creation, just Him creating.
So he made it and he let things evolve as time goes on and let things do as they need to survive and flourish.
Um, I don't know where you're going with that, but I mean that seems like a different topic. I mean, we can discuss it the next time you come if you want. But I'm just saying, like, I guess the question is, if logic only exists with the mind, how did logic ever exist before humans? That's the question, right?
Ah, okay, so I don't think logic could exist before anybody had the brain capacity to actually understand and use logic. So without a mind, you cannot use logic. So jellyfish use instinct, whereas you actually have to have a functioning brain to use logic.
Do you think anything exists without logic?
Things can exist without logic.
Okay, how so? Give me an example.
Like when the Earth was first formed after the Big Bang, it took millions of years for the surface to cool down. It existed without logic.
You just explained how it exists without logic. That's a form of logic. You use logic to explain to me why you think something can exist without logic. Do you understand that?
So things cannot exist without logic.
It cannot. Because even if you try to give me an explanation on how it makes sense that something can exist without logic, you're using logic to explain why you believe that.
Ah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
So logic, nothing can exist without logic. So the question is, if nothing can exist without logic, how do we exist? If logic only exists in the mind.
Okay. I see where you're going with this. So if logic only exists in the mind, what about existence itself?
Same thing. Like existence itself. I mean,
During the Big Bang itself, the big ass boom in the sky, before any life was created,
hmm
how did logic exist?
well, according to the Christian belief, right? That's the only belief I can give you. I don't know what other um, theists would, how they would answer this, right? But we do believe that God is logic. He is existence. He is.
Some
He
people
he
do believe
are
that,
these
yes.
things.
God
Yeah.
is everything, God is everywhere, God is the water in the ocean, God is the air
Well,
in
I
the.
wouldn't say that, but what I'm saying, he is the intellect. So Jesus is called the Word in John chapter 1 verse 1. That Greek word is logos, right? That's actually the that it's translated to English as to the word, but it means wisdom or intellect. So he's the intellect of God, right? That word logos in Greek, that's actually the word that we get to form the word logic. That's where we get it from, right? So
Yeah, a lot of English words are translated from Greek, so I do understand that.
hmm there's a reason for that, right? Because logos in Greek just means like I said, like it's like what we would call logic, but it's the intellect or the wisdom, reasoning, rationality. So, anyways, is these things, right? So the reason we as Christians believe that we come from God. So therefore, if we come from God, it makes perfect sense that everything, in order for it to exist, requires some form of logic, right? So the argument is if nothing can exist without logic, then how did anything exist at all without a mind? If logic only exists in a mind.
We can go back as far as science, like, think of science as everything. You cannot ignore science because it explains every single thing in existence.
Does science use logic?
Gravity, water, what?
Does science use logic?
Of course. It's basis on logic.
Correct. Yep. So that means if you are a full believer of science and where everything comes from, then you are a full believer that everything comes from some form of logic. And if you look into logic and realize that logic only exists in the mind, we're right back to where we started. So what mind existed before all of this existed?
Well, logic exists in the mind as far as we understand it. Logic can exist, and we just created a word for it called logic. It's
Hmm.
logical if an
Oh,
earthquake
I agree. I
happens,
agree. I
things
agree.
will
Like
fall
the
in.
word logic is just a word that's describing something that always existed, but it's semantics, right? So like, but at the end of the day, if logic needed to exist in order for anything else to exist, and logic only exists in a mind, what mind? Even like the Big Bang, you have to describe that using logic. So where did the bit? How did the bit? Why is the Big Bang? Where did that come from? What mind caused that? Because that's the only way we can even make sense of that logic even existing, right?
I honestly couldn't tell you. We don't know what happened, like, we don't know why the Big Bang happened. We don't know where it came from. We don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And somebody once told me that science explains everything, but what we cannot explain, we use faith to fill in the gaps. We have faith things happen, and science, just finishes the
Yeah. Well,
puzzle.
what I would say is this, bro, and look, you're really cool to talk to. Definitely, go look that up. I thought there was a very strong argument for God. You may not think so, or maybe you got to go look into it or whatever.
I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
deny the existence. I just
the
don't believe in them.
okay, that's fine. So you do believe God exists?
I believe there's a higher deity, and God is not a god. God is a title like the president. God can be an alien. It can be a spiritual deity. It could be anything that you believe or feel or understand.
Okay.
It's
All
just a
right. Well,
title. But God
we
in
could dive into that
itself,
next time.
yeah.
I have some people waiting. We could dive into that next time. But look, at the end of the day, um, you were honest and you said, look, I don't know how anything how logic can exist without a mind and stuff like that. So that's cool. Or how anything can come about like the Big Bang. We do have an explanation. We believe there is one creator, and that creator is the cause of everything. So, anyways, bro, and at the end of the day, because we believe there is one creator, because of what happened 2,000 years ago on the cross, it led to a chain of reasons as to why we would believe in the Bible, and the Bible makes it very clear that Jesus is that creator in human form.